Alrighty, we are back with part 3 of this Craftsman LT 4000 riding mower, circa 1994, with the 38-inch deck that's going to be on it soon. 12.5 horse Briggs. I film these over a span of months at a time sometimes, and so it's been a while since I've worked on this. However, you'll see this like very near to where part 2 is of this, because I try and put them in sequences. Like I said, I'm posting every Wednesday at 8 o'clock now. Just try and give y'all some consistency, and if videos allow, if I have a 3-part series, I probably won't make y'all wait 3 weeks. I'll probably do a Wednesday, Sunday, Wednesday combo, just so y'all don't have to wait on it. But this thing does run good. Let me just pop the hood up still. I have the standard shut-off valve on it that I have put on it. It's holding gas. I haven't put gas in about 3 weeks. Changed the oil in it and everything. Should be a short video. I have the deck back. I will put a tire tube in this left rear. I finally got tire tubes for it. Had to do a repair on another mower that took that tire tube. I've got the tire tube back. Here's the deck. So it turns out that both of the brackets ended up needing welding. Got to my dad's house, or parents' house, the previous night here. He had already gotten this one welded, and I noticed that this one was loose as well. These 38-inch decks, I was telling him last night, if it wasn't in as good of shape, if the mower itself wasn't in as good a shape as it is, with the way 38-inch decks are, I probably wouldn't even worried with trying to repair it and fix it and all that. But what I'm going to do is I bought a couple of cans of black spray paint. I'm going to protect the welds here, and I'm just going to kind of give it a quick little once over with the spray can. I mean, it's a $300 mower. I'm not trying to make it look glamorous or anything like that. And one more quick aside. I apologize. My garage looks atrocious right now, but when they leave in the spring, I guess the money comes with it, so I'll take it. The Murray here, I've kind of left y'all hanging because I wanted a resolution on the gas tank that I bought on what turned out to be a fake website. I got my money back from that, and the lesson is learned: don't buy from a fake website. Stick to online sites like your typical eBay and Amazon, and reputable, if you can't find them on those, reputable dealers that have a physical building as a location that ship out parts. I have had to use that once. So that one's coming. I'm not leaving y'all hanging on that. Don't know if I'll get I think I'll get the John Deere up here before I get the Craftsman. Anyways, aside over. Let's see. I haven't started this in about a couple of weeks. Let's see. I'm going to put y'all down. It will smoke a little bit, but I'm not concerned. I don't think there is a 12.5 horse in this world, or a flathead Briggs in this world, that doesn't smoke a little bit when you crank it up, especially since they're all getting kind of old now. But let's crank it up. Hopefully I can keep y'all right there and you won't go anywhere. See if it'll start for us. check out the spark plug on it. I think that might have something to do with it. Relatively minimal effort, it did start up. I will look into that a little bit. But next, I'm going to put a tire tube on it. See what we got going there. So I don't know how well you can see in the light here, but that is a decent amount of carbon buildup on that thing. What I'm going to do is, I mean, it's sparking, it's doing fine. Looks like the gap's a little bit high too. I'm going to close the gap a little bit. I'm going to just clean off this carbon and see if it runs a little bit better for us. Alright, so that got the carbon off. That's a little bit better. Also gapped it a little bit lower as well. I might get my spark plug gapper and get it down to, I believe it's 30 thousandths. Pop it back in and see if it runs a little bit better. Alrighty y'all, I figured it out. So the plug is still doing the same thing. Let me show you. These older carbs have an adjustment screw that the newer ones don't. So it's right here, right there. We're going to screw it in some and hear it change tune. Pop it in just a hair more. That's a little bit too much. Let me back it out. We'll see how that tests under load, but that's what it was, just that adjustment screw. Got the spark plug clean, so hey, works. And rev it back up one more time. Man, that thing runs good. I also think why it was taking so long to start there off the top was because it was getting too much fuel, and so it kept like trying to hit, and then it was flooding it out, and so I choked it a little bit, or I didn't have to choke it. Choke actually made it worse because it was getting too much fuel. So. Good running mower. Let's get the tire tube on next. I've shown you how to do that plenty of times, but let me get the jack on it, and I kind of show you what I do to get them. I don't even take them off the mower usually when I do tires of this size. It's just easier just to kind of break the bead on the mower and keep it on there instead of potentially trying to fight. All the rest of the tires are good though. Let me get the jack it up, we'll get rolling. Alright, so I didn't film this, but after much trouble I got the tire tube on. That tire is really, it's not dry rotted, it's just, you know, the rubber's dried up over time, and so it wouldn't really break the bead, and then ended up putting the tire tube in backwards, so I had to retrieve the tire tube, turn it around, reseat the tire and all that. So that was a process that took much longer and is not even worth filming because there's no really value in it other than the fact that don't do what I did. But I was driving it around a little bit after I got the carb tweaked and the the fuel air ratio right, so it's running good, and I ended up putting the brakes needed a little bit of adjustment, and all you got to do there is a 1/2 inch. You can just adjust them in or out depending on whether or not they're grabbing too much or not grabbing at all. And to check the brake pad right there, you see there's got some wear on the pad, but there's still plenty of pad left to grab. It's not grabbing on the metal, so I just tightened it up a little bit. It's a little bit tighter now. We're going to test it out here in a minute. After we get the deck on, which I have off camera going ahead and given just a quick little aerosol overhaul, so to speak, just to kind of help protect some of the rust and keep it at bay, especially since the decks seem to be very thin and not very well made. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the deck on here, and I got the arms for it here as well, and what I'll do is I'll go ahead and get it under the mower and go ahead and get all the mounting points and kind of show y'all how everything mounts back up, and then we'll go ahead and proceed to level it, and then that will likely be it for the mower after we put the belt on and test it out. So kind of excited here. Alright, so the deck is on. So let me show you the mounting points here. One on the back, one on the side here again. Same deal with the other side. There's another one on the other side like that. You have this mounting point in the front, which this one actually has been replaced with a non-adjustable one, so that one must have broke somewhere along the line. But still the same concept. Same thing on the right front here, right there. The fifth one is right here, and the last one, let me lower the deck. So there's two little arms on this mechanical one that goes from one of them mounts right there on the pulley, and you'll see two different numbers. One's 38 and one's 42. This is a 38-inch deck, so you'll mount it on the 38 pulley, and it links to the deck here with a little arm on the deck. There's a second arm that goes from the arm on the deck up to the engage mechanism, which is right here. You can see it move whenever I engage the blades. So that's that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this deck up all the way. We're going to go ahead and level it. Again, I want it to look just a slight bit lower than in the front than in the back. So we're going to see if I can get it, level on both sides and level in the back, level in the front just slightly lower. And I'll put the deck belt on. The deck belt routing is pretty easy. And I might as well go ahead and do it while I've got y'all on camera here. Let me grab it. I think the deck belt's in good shape. Even though I'm not really much of a fan of when people go out to the auto parts store and just buy like a standard little V-rib belt, which I think this one might be because it's very thin. But let's see here. That so that y'all can watch. Pulley in the front. Just goes through the guide like so. It's very easy. It'll go around this pulley on the side here, which actually I need to put the belt under this mechanism so that it can go through the pulleys and not on top of them. If y'all can see that. Has to go in between those two pulleys under the blade engage lever there. Around. Let's see. Else needs to happen is it actually needs to come above this blading, on the other side of this. So I need to take off, let's see, actually just need to take this deck bracket back off here. Bring it over that. I don't have to do that on the other side, which is good. Just here on the right side. It's going to be a little bit difficult. There we go. Get back on. Just get the deck right. Put the pin back in. And you're in business. Okay. Actually, that's correct. Okay. Let's go to the other side. Kind of the same deal. Jack belt's going to go around the front pulley here. And this side of the guide here. Around. And it goes through, I don't know if you can see that right there. It's like a little guide area between the, on the deck there. It goes through that. It's going to go around the front pulley here. Make sure everything is looped on this side. I don't think it is because it's a little loose. Yes, we'll route it over through this pulley. And that's on. So if we engage the blades, you can see, and this is, there we go. Make sure all your guides and whatnot are correct. So if you engage the blades, it's a little on the loose side. That's because the deck is low. The belt's always going to be a little looser with the deck lower than it is with the deck higher. So if we move it to the high side, it is tighter, and it should work the way that it needs to work. And we're going to, like I said, we're going to test it out. And if it doesn't work like it's supposed to, we'll put a new belt on it. Just make sure you put it through all the guides correctly, and not, you know, around something that's going to tear up the belt. So that's done. And so now I'll move forward with looking at the deck and seeing how level it is on each side. Alright, so far I've gotten the front of it aligned, and I know I showed in a previous video it's just a matter of what you can use for a measurement or some sort of blocking. I use those oil filter boxes. I'm sure I'll cut me like a piece of wood or 4x4 or something to just kind of use as a guide point of reference. I'm still using these for right now. On the front side of the deck, it's even now. What I ended up doing was I ended up needing, because the right side of the deck was a little bit on the low side overall. So you take this, you take a 3/4 inch socket and ratchet and a 3/4 inch wrench, and you just loosen this up. Hopefully it'll loosen up on the mower. If it doesn't, you can take the arm off. It's just these 2 cotter pins, and you can loosen it up that way and then put it back on the mower, and you just tighten it. And the more you tighten it, the higher the front of the deck will go. Now for the measurements on the side, because right now I've got the mower is still a little bit low on the right side in the back. So the rear deck height adjusters are right there. I can show y'all right there. I believe they take either, I think they believe they take a 9/16. Let me grab the wrench real quick. we're going to raise the right rear of the deck. The reason why I'm adjusting on the right side is because the left side, I showed you all, that has the issue with somebody replaced the height adjuster, and it's can't really adjust the height on it right now. And also this nut right here looks like it was welded on. So thankfully we have one side to work with still. Might be a bigger wrench now. And remember, you're doing it the opposite way, so you want to turn it to the left to tighten it. I'm going to tighten it a few turns here. But that's the way that you tighten them up or adjust the heights of these Craftsmans. Just get some sort of reference point for you to use, and then just kind of go off of that and see what you can do. Again, not that big of a deal. Not that difficult, honestly. So I'll keep tightening this deck. I'll get it right, and then we'll go for a test mow. One more thing, you saw the box that I had here. What I did is I put this under here and wedged it under the deck so that I could adjust the height of the deck easier, so that it wasn't giving me resistance whenever I was trying to tighten it and raise the entire deck on a 9/16 inch nut. So just keep that in mind too, just to get something to get tension off the deck. Alrighty y'all, so I think it's time. Got the deck level, the blades are on, nice green blades. It's whatever Amazon has on the cheap, I guess, but they're high lift blades. It cost me less than 20 bucks to get them. What I ended up having to do is it wouldn't really level very well, even with just this fixed mechanism and the adjustables on that side. So I ended up having to take that and bending it a little bit to shorten it, and it seems to be pretty level now. I just need to get some of this crud off the side, but it is clean, ready to go. I'm going to set y'all down and we're going to see if this thing will give a test mow. Doesn't like to crank up right off the top. I don't quite get it. Might back out that adjustment screw just a little bit real quick. Because it started good yesterday, or actually with about a 1-day rest. I was all the way in right there, so I didn't want to do that. Alright, let's first off see if it'll restart. Idles down great too. All right, let's restart it here. Something happened with the starter. Hang tight for a second. That doesn't sound good. Alright, so I found out what it is. This thing's missing some teeth on the flywheel. It looks like it was from a previous engagement because the starter looks good. So it makes you wonder if something got caught up in there and just stripped off some teeth on the flywheel, and it had stopped at that point, and so that's why it wasn't running right, which is it's very unfortunate, because I don't see any like remnants of missing flywheel teeth anywhere that looks like I have done, and the starter's still engaging, cranking up okay. I want to work on the hard starting issue, because it's almost like it's flooding a little bit, and I wonder if just simply cutting the gas off to it would help it out any. But I just rotated the engine a little bit, and it cranks right back up. So you know, with the age and whatnot of this mower, that's something that can easily be worked around because the starter gear doesn't have wear on it. So what I'll likely do is just disclose the fact that if you run into the issue of that you just need to spin the motor around a little bit. Because I mean, we're talking about a $300 riding mower here. If it was like something like that John Deere or something, I would definitely look into replacing the flywheel on it. But if you're talking about a part that's probably, haven't looked, but it's probably close to $100. So let's take a little ride, why don't we? And the brakes. Let's go downhill and check the brakes on it real quick. A whole lot better. Let me turn around so I'm not blowing stuff into the garage, and we'll test the blades. Hopefully this thing will, blades will work like they're supposed to. Oh, I got caught in the deck there, oops. Let's see. Oh, I see what it was doing. It was sliding some on me. Interesting. Either way, let's test the blades real quick, and then I will adjust that mechanism. I know why there are no brakes on the blade brake on this mower, but it does stop the blades, so blades do work. The deck, whenever I had it in the lower position, you probably heard the blade, the drive slow down a little bit. Let's figure out the clearance issue on this deck here. It actually might have had to do with when to do that. Turn it off, because what it's doing. Oh, I see what it's doing. So it's actually catching on to this little tab here that's sticking out from the deck. So we're going to, let's see. I'm going to take this off real quick. I'm going to take an angle grinder to it, and I'm going to grind that off, that excess piece off there. And then I will, then we'll put it back on, and hopefully that should resolve the issue that we're having. It's a lot better, because I thought it was actually hitting on the front of the deck there, but it's not, thankfully. So yeah, let me take this back off, and we'll do that. And then I might test this thing out one more time, because like I said, I think it is that flywheel is a bummer. But that is not a deal breaker. I will check a flywheel if they're, I mean, I don't think they're very cheap, and I know I don't have a ride mower flywheel here, which kind of stinks, because what I like to do is I like to make it right. But at what point does the cost too much to really justify the expense of fixing the issue to where it's something that could easily be remedied? I know some of y'all won't agree with me on that decision, but that's just kind of my rationale, at least in that case for that mower. If the starter was trashed, it'd be a different story. I'd put a starter on it at least. But since the starter's good, it's just missing a few of those flywheel teeth, you can get around it. Let me put this in the vise, get an angle grinder, and get this thing off. Alright, so I did that to the deck and got rid of that. And so what I will do now, because it looks like it's still gonna try and hit up against that cotter pin there, is bend that cotter pin back some. Hopefully all these deck issues will be resolved. This has really been the sticking point in the mower here. It's these deck issues with the okay, so that should do it. It's not hitting anything. Turns pretty sharp too. So let's go for one more test mow, and then I'll go ahead and leave y'all to it. I'll probably hit on the flywheel where it's missing the teeth. There we go. Not so much, thankfully. Alright, blades. turn all the way to the left, turn all the way to the right, and also do it with the deck all the way to the ground here. Which I don't really like to do because it's actually scraping. Some people like cutting all the way on the ground, so okay. So we're good on that front. So let me cut this thing off and let's do a quick analysis real quick of everything that I've done and what I expect to get for the mower and all that good stuff. And some things that I might do off camera to wrap everything up here. The motor runs really good though. I'm really happy with how that is. Just turning the gas off real quick. That might help prevent a little bit of fuel leakage, which I think is why it's flooding the motor on cold starts after it sits for a little while. There's no fuel in the crankcase or anything like that. So here's what has been done to this mower. The deck brackets you saw got welded. I went ahead and also painted the deck a little bit. I had to cut off the adjuster there that somebody had made. I adjusted the deck. I put a new air filter on it. And the shut-off switch. So we have, you know, those going. Gave it an oil change. The things I'm looking out for. I also adjusted the brakes and put a left rear tire tube in it. So cost-wise, the tire tube, the air filter. Tire tube was about $15. The air filter was about $7. So if you do that, you're talking close to, let's round it up to $25. With some oil, I bought it for $40, so I got about $65 in the mower. Did I put a new battery in this one? No, the battery's not even new. So yeah, about $65 in this mower here. Things I'm going to monitor: the potential oil leak right over here at the dipstick, which these motors are notorious for doing. I think I have gotten it down to where it's not leaking too bad. Missing the flywheel teeth on the starter, I've told you the reason why I'm not gonna bother replacing that, because the flywheel would probably eat almost all of my profit off of this mower. And it does start and run just fine. The starter gear doesn't have really any wear on it either. It's just for some reason the flywheel is missing those teeth, which I don't quite understand why. Unless something got caught up in it. I'm not quite sure. If y'all have any reasons or thinking as to why it is doing that, please let me know. And then also the hard starting condition when it's cold. I don't quite know why it's doing that. Maybe it's just getting a little bit of small drippage of fuel into the crankcase. So I'm going to actually let this sit for a little while, crank it up maybe after a couple of weeks, and see if it's doing anything. See, it's still leaking oil just a little bit right there after it runs. So I don't know if there's like a small little oil leak that's in the crankcase of the block or anything like that, but I'll keep an eye on it. It's not really a deal breaker. And like I said, I think it's coming from around the dipstick or even the oil filler cap. But with it being all right here, it also leads me to believe that it's probably leaking from the dipstick seal, which I did seal up. So I think it's just the remaining oil is getting hot and it's dripping down. But like I said, I'm going to run it for a little while and see if it burns off all that oil. So a few things to look out for. Got the brakes fixed. But I'm hoping to sell this mower for about $300. If I get $250 for it, I'll be pretty happy. Somebody will get a decent mower, just apart from them little minor issues. And again, consider this mower is 25 years old. So, like I said, it should make a good couple $100 off of it. And this one really wasn't too bad at work either. So again, I appreciate y'all watching. Give me feedback. See, what do y'all think about the Craftsman's, the 38-inch decks, and just kind of the general process of how I fixed it. And if you would go ahead and replace the flywheel, considering the cost of the sale price of the mower and what I have in it. I'd love to hear y'all's feedback, because I know we all have different opinions. Everything that I do is likely not 100% right. I'm not claiming to be right all the time. So I just figured a decent $300 mower here for somebody. Keeps them riding, keeps them off the push mower if they've got like an acre or so to cut. The only other thing I might do is I might put a deck belt on it, and that's about it. I'm going to look at this oil leak after I cut for a little bit with it and take pictures of it. And yeah, and we'll see y'all in the next one. The next riding mower video you'll see coming up. I'll probably work on a couple of push mowers, but I'm going to work on this LA 105 and then the Murray. So the last part of the Murray will be coming either before or after this LA 105 gets finished. So we'll see what happens with that. In the meantime, I'm done with the Craftsman, done with the videos on the Craftsman, and I appreciate y'all watching, and we'll stay tuned and see you next time.